What's going on? What's going on?
What up, world?
What's up, sis? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastically well. How are you doing?
Fantastically well. I'm doing pretty good. Just waiting to everybody come on in. We got the come on in music going on.
I know, right?
So
Let me share
in.
the show to my page.
Yeah. You might have to check your page from time to time because I know it is shared there through our platform. So you may have to check it to add some comments or what have you.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But hey, welcome everybody to No Panties After Dark. This is your relationship conversation congregation. We keep the relations, or we put the relations back into relationships, and that's cool because tonight's show is all about keeping that spark. And we're gonna have a special guest on who is an amazing counselor. You guys have seen her before on our show, Miss Laquisha Moore. All right.
Very excited.
And yes.
She's dope.
Yep, she is. And shout out to her friend that came on with her before. I don't be knowing whether to say people's government names or not.
You're talking about the narcissist slayer.
The narcissist slayer. We're gonna leave it at that.
I like that. She's dope.
She's had some things to take care of tonight, so she was gonna come but wasn't able to make it. But either way, we're gonna bring her energy in just the same. So everybody get cozied up, get ready, so we can go ahead and get into the show. You ready, sis?
I'm ready. I'm still burning my candles from last night. Did you participate in last night's full moon activity?
The full moon activity, yeah. I read about it and all that good stuff. I didn't participate. I mean, I howled at the moon. So
heard you howl before. I'm sure it was effective.
Exactly. So I did a duet, a howling duet to my own video. But we'll get into the show, folks. It is No Panties After Dark.
No Panties After Dark. Your adult relationship conversation. Going where most ones. Speaking on things most don't. It's No Panties After Dark. We put the relations back into relationships.
All right, everyone. Again, it is No Panties After Dark. It's yours truly, Mr. Just As Joe, as well as my sister from another mother, sister, pretty brown skin. Hey. Looking quite natural. Looking good.
Yeah.
We like it. You know what I mean?
I wasn't in the mood for lashes and stuff today, but I got on my Viking shirt. I had to, rep my team with 7-1 right now.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. Well, cool. Well, I tell you what, as we always do, we'll get into the timeline review, and then we'll do celebrity news you can't use, and then after that we'll get into. Oh man, I bet because it's been a week hiatus, so I'm pretty sure in 2 weeks there have been a lot of things that have jumbled up that you are just ready to burst with. So it's all good. It's all good. But how was your week, by the way?
Well, you know what? I had a very, very eventful weekend actually. So about 4 o'clock Friday, my best friend, Right Look, she was on with us last time.
Mm-hmm.
She hit me up and she was like, she was supposed oh yeah, let me back it up. You remember last week when we were on and somebody hit her up immediately after the show and told her
2 weeks
that
ago, yes.
yeah, told her that she was supposed to be his wife.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that brother slid in the DMs, told her that she was supposed to be his wife, and they had made a date to go see Kevin Hart.
Mm.
Well, he turned out didn't buy tickets to Kevin Hart like he told her.
Mm.
And she was upset about it. So, like about 4 o'clock, she said, "You know what, sis? We're gonna buy our own tickets to Kevin Hart. Let's go." So
Mm.
I got off work, went and found me something, went shopping in my closet, found something to put on, and I was outside. And I was not supposed I was supposed to be in the house all weekend. I ain't come home all weekend this weekend.
Yeah, I think I remember hitting you up. Was it Sunday?
I
And
was
you
on a
was like,
date.
"Yeah, I just got in at 7 a.m. or something like that."
I was on a date all weekend. I met a really nice a gentleman. He was a gentleman. Met a really nice gentleman, and it takes Right Look. She'll have to come back and tell the story, but she says she watch me for about 20 minutes and muster up the courage to come talk to me. And
Mm.
he asked my name, and then he said, "I'd like to take you to dinner sometime." And I said, "I would love that." And he said, "Well, put
Okay.
your number in my phone." And he said, "What are you doing after this?" So he took me, we went to Waffle House and we sat and watched the sun come up. And then I was out the next day and I went to
Now, did
dinner
y'all
with
talk
him.
while y'all sat and watched
Yeah,
the
we
sun come up,
talked. Yeah, we
or
talked.
did y'all just literally sit there and look at the sky?
No,
Hmm.
we had all the good conversations. I asked all the good
Wow.
questions and he answered all the
Mm.
good questions without hesitation.
Give us
Took
a good
me
question you asked.
the good question.
Give us
Have
a
you
good
ever
question.
have you
Just
ever
some,
been married? How many children do you have? How long have your
okay.
parents been married? Oh yeah, we
Okay.
got to all of that. We
Now,
got to
now, now, here's a good thing, that you bringing this up because we've talked about these things,
mm-hmm.
and people will say, "Oh, it just sounds weird to do that." How can you just
No,
bring all that up? So,
no,
was it weird for you?
no.
Did you just sit there and just shoot them all off,
No, it wasn't
or
weird.
casual conversation, but you were intentional with it?
The conversation flowed nicely. Like a lot of the things I didn't have to ask, he gave it up. He smiled the whole time. So we talked for 4 hours. Brother got a smile, like Kool-Aid smile for 4 hours.
Okay.
And like I know his face hurts. But we had a really good time. That was the pre-date at Waffle House where we watched the sun come up. And so then he was very intentional. He knew where he was gonna take me. He knew what time to tell me to be ready. So most time men will say, "Let me take you out to dinner," and then say, "Well, where do you want to eat?" He just asked what
Mm.
kind of food that I like. He suggested a spot. He said, "Let's meet there at 8 o'clock." So we met there at 8 o'clock,
Mm.
and we had
I
dinner,
like it.
and it was
And and
good.
and you didn't buck up and talk about where you want to go and
No,
where
nope,
you'd like
nope,
to eat
nope,
at this. You let
nope.
him do him,
Yes,
what
now
he
he was
posed to do.
very,
Okay,
yeah,
that's what
he
I'm
was
talking about.
very intentional. He took me, so we went out to dinner, and it was great. I wouldn't say it was like the best restaurant. That's not what I would have picked, but that's the fact that he came and
The
said
effort.
it was the effort that he had a plan. Because most men
Hmm.
will ask you out and then say, "So where are we going?" He had a plan, so I rode with it. I was like, "Okay,
Yeah,
I like
that's
this."
good.
So, then after dinner, I got in his car with him. He has his car is beautiful. Got in his car with him. We went to Long Shots, my spot. We hung out there till about 3. He brought me back to my car. And then we sat and we talked some more until the sun came up again.
Mm.
And then the next night he took me out to shoot pool. So I was on 3 dates in the span of a day and a half.
Wow. Wow. So it sounds so. I don't even need to ask. Did it go well? It sounds like it went
It went very well. It
swell.
went very well. He was a gentleman, kept his hands to himself, didn't make comments about my body. Like he was
Question is,
very
did you keep your hands to yourself?
okay, of course. Of course. What are you talking about? So yeah, it was
By the
it
third
was
date,
good.
you
So
probably trying to climb on the motherfucker.
no,
Like,
no, I
nigga, come
mean,
here.
no, I mean, I can say the chemistry was there. We wanted to, but we were being
Yeah,
respectful of each other. So it was
that's
good.
good.
It was a very good experience. There are men out there who will take you on dates and will be respectful and they will be intentional. But yeah, we got to all the good questions and So far, I would say he checks off about 2/3 of my list.
That's what's
And
up. That's what's up.
I check off a lot of his list too, is what he said. So
Okay, cool.
yes, that was
That's
cool.
what's
I had a
up.
good weekend for a
I
weekend that I
can
was supposed
dig
to
it.
spend in the house cleaning and watching TV.
That is what's up. Okay, good. Okay.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was dope. It was so good. I don't even remember it. I don't even remember my
Wow.
weekend. It's
You
like
was just in the
so it was
moment.
that good. Like it was that amazing.
So you weren't out on 5, 6 dates like me in a day and a half.
No, I wasn't. No, never. Not me. You know, nope, not me. But moving right along.
All
No, I'm just kidding.
right.
But yeah, so let's get to the timeline review, folks. This is where we go ahead and we jump on our own No Panties After Dark timeline and we check it out.
And you know what? I
see
want y'all to feel
what's
free to actually
poppin'.
post on our timeline. Feel free.
Yeah,
Post on our wall. We want to hear from
yeah,
you. We want to talk to you. We want to interact with you.
exactly. We want to interact with you, and don't forget Instagram. You can hit us up there too.
Yes,
You know what I
we
mean?
everywhere you want to be.
Yeah, and we fixed the whole Instagram to Facebook thing. So now when we post to Instagram, it'll go to Facebook like it's supposed to.
I gotta log
So
into the
it's
new
all
Instagram. I haven't logged in yet.
it's all good, all good. And let's see, anything specific that I need to start at that I should start
Maybe you can
at?
go back to the one that I posted last week that you couldn't pull up. I don't know what happened with that because that one
Did you find it?
I meant that it was on there. Yeah, I posted some of my Halloween videos too.
Okay.
So since we
All
weren't
right.
here for Halloween,
Uh-huh.
there we
We
go.
can
There
look
we
at.
go.
Is this the one of the ones you talking about?
That's the one. That's the one.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's check this out.
Peace. How you want her to be your peace when all you doing is bringing nightmares in her life? And I'm getting sick of men saying that. I want a woman to be my peace. No, the you don't. You want a woman that won't question you when you bringing chaos in her life, talking about be my peace. How you want her to be your peace when all you doing is bringing nightmares in her life? And every time she speaks up, you say she's disturbing your peace. Of course she is, because you cheating. You ain't available. You don't validate her. When you say you want a woman to be your peace, you mean you want a woman that don't speak up for herself, that don't call you out on your motherfucking bullshit. If you not doing bullshit, shit is peaceful. You don't even have to say be my peace when you are bringing peace. What peaceful ass nigga has ever had to say be my peace? The chaotic men, the disrespectful men, cheating men, the men that got fucking problems, the men that want to have their cake and eat it too, those are the men that scream, I want a woman to be my peace.
I remember. I feel like we did go over this one.
We
I
did.
remember.
We didn't play it. We didn't play that, but we
Okay.
had the conversation.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Well, and I because I remember us talking about how, I mean, I agree with him, and it seems like he's specifically talking about men that's out there on their bullshit, cheating.
Those are the ones that I was running into talking about be my peace. Like, you bring chaos, disorder, dysfunction, toxicity to my life. I can't be your peace because I'm too busy trying to find mine because you disrupted it.
This right here too, threatening divorce during an argument breaks trust, destroys intimacy, creates insecurity. Like
It does.
when people sit there and they blurt out, and if you're not married and you sit there and you blurt out, you know what, we need to, we probably, that's why we need to take some time. That's why we need to wait longer versus what we said before when we was gonna get married. That's why we need to, when people threaten anything that gives an inkling of a breakup, then yeah, it breaks trust. It destroys intimacy.
Most definitely.
It's something about that is tied to intimacy when a person is like, I don't know how to say it because it's not just threatening divorce, but just when you're bringing aggression and toxicity and that shit right there, it destroys intimacy.
It does.
Absolutely.
You know what? My ex used to do that I was with for years and years. Like I remember like we had an argument. He was like, well, see, I just think we need to go our separate ways. I haven't been happy in a very long time. He said that to me. And you know, like we didn't go our separate ways, we stuck it out. But then now in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, how long have you been unhappy? So it's making me feel a certain type of way. So then when I came to him and I was like, I need some reassurance, I'm feeling insecure. He said, well, I'm still here, aren't I? And I'm like, but you were still here all those months ago where you told me that you hadn't been happy for a long time. So how am I supposed to know if you're still happy with me or if you was just saying that because you was mad and that really did, seem like it stung. And I never recovered from those words.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, counseling, more and more do I look at counseling as like that's reassurance, the ability to sit with someone and everybody talk it out, can help create some security, some reassurance and such like that. This was an interesting one I saw. Just broke up with my boyfriend of 3 years because he told me he's getting full custody of his kids. I can't imagine coming home to 3 kids that's not mine's every day. Interesting. Now, I see both sides on this. I'm not gonna lie. Because again, when she got with him in a boyfriend girlfriend relationship type thing, right? It wasn't about he didn't have the kids. So now all of a sudden it's a change in lifestyle. They're not married. And what if kids living with him was a deal breaker in the beginning? He checked
then
off
don't
at first.
Kids.
Yeah, but
because it's always a possibility.
Yeah, and that's why I say I see both sides because, again, I mean, how much do you love this person if you can't go through a change like this with them? But at the same time, a person has the ability and desire to say, you know what, this isn't what I want. This wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah, and clearly she was there for a good time, not a long time. Like she didn't see
I'm not gonna say that though.
Marriage in the cards because here's the thing, you know that he's got 3 kids. It's a given that this is a possibility. This can happen. This can be your life.
I mean, but a lot of things can happen. Yeah, a person can walk down the street and get hit by Acme piano out of there. It's a possibility that can happen.
That's very true. I just feel like homeboy dodged the bullet, because if I
probably so.
I come with kids. So, saying my kids live with me full time. And I'm making known up front, like, hey, I'm not going to bring you into the fold immediately. But if you're trying to do this long term, like, they in the picture. And you got to take all of us. So, she obviously wasn't with the full package. And I guess that's her prerogative.
Yeah, I got it. Let's look at this one. Question 6, ladies, I found a good man. He cares for me, helps me out, and has welcomed my kids in his home at 3 a.m. His car alarm sounded. We caught my baby daddy stealing gas out of his car. He says, I can't be with someone who would have kids by a guy like that. Ooh.
Listen, Linda.
I feel like I want to go and look that up. Let's look at what Vita Briscoe had to say. She says he doesn't have to and apparently doesn't want to deal with baby daddy drama. He is protecting his peace. He didn't ask her to be his peace. He's just protecting his own, right?
And I mean that's
and I'm not mad about it. Yep, she needs to find someone who is willing to deal with it, or she needs to get that resolved before she tries to get into another relationship. That's true.
Agree.
Absolutely.
Agree. You got to get a handle on that, sis.
I feel like we should go to 6 Brown Chicks and let's take a look and see what let's see 6. I want to see the the comments. All right. Oh shit, I thought I'm seeing anything on the table. Let me see if we can find it. Oh no, if we can find it. There we go.
I went to their Instagram and it wasn't a whole lot on their Instagram because I wanted to see too.
Oh, here it is right here.
Oh,
Ooh,
okay.
okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and look at some of the comments, because that's the best part about any of this stuff is looking at the comments, see what other people had to say. View 40 more comments. Let's see. Yeah, he don't have time for the drama. If yo baby daddy don't respect you, he won't respect him either. I mean, he was stealing gas from the dude's car. Right? It was the dude's car, right? Wasn't it? Hold on, let me go read that again.
She hasn't established boundaries, and that's what the problem is, because I think we've talked about this. Like when I went through my breakup, my baby daddy ran off a couple of guys that I was seeing because it was my fault. I had not established those boundaries of leave me the fuck alone. Now that we got those boundaries established, we still have issues. Like I told him that I needed him to keep her, because I was going out of town, and I was like, he was like, did you say you were going to Canada? I was like, I didn't say that. He was like, oh, that's kind of far. I said, even if it was where I was going, guess what? That's my business and not your business. Where I go, who I go with, and what I'm doing there is my business. Like I have to keep reminding him, like, stay over there in your lane, sir. And I think that's what the problem is. She lacks healthy boundaries with her baby daddy and telling him to mind his damn business. And he's going to continue to do that until she puts her foot down and say, mind your damn motherfucking business, bitch.
Exactly. Because that sounds like a situation where somebody is, when she's not in a relationship, baby daddy's probably hanging around a little bit more. You know what I mean? Got a little bit more time, they're still lovey-dovey kind of, even if they're not having sex, still think he's, king top of that situation. Yeah, exactly. Right.
And she gotta shut that down or she's never going to be able to move on.
Exactly. She said, my advice is to move to another state. Don't let that crazy man know where you are. That guy was right to not to continue. That was just the top or the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, I mean, I don't see nobody who is saying otherwise, but yeah, definitely dude. But what's funny is this is about the dude was taking the gasoline, and then down here's a picture of how to make gasoline at home. Hilarious. Wow. Hilarious. But yeah, that's a trip. Let's see. We'll do one more, and then we'll get into celebrity news.
Halloween situations.
Definitely. We gotta do that.
I showed out for Halloween.
Let's go do that.
Did you dress up? I asked everybody to post their costumes. Nobody bit. So I was the one.
Oh, really? I did dress up actually.
Did you? What did you dress up as?
You know what? I'll upload it here in a second.
I did 2 costumes this year.
I dressed up.
Kruger.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay.
My baby, perfect for the urgent, baby. I want forever. Caroline, don't you see that? I want you to be my bad thing. Fine as hell, thick as full. Oh my God, that's my baby.
All right, there's one, and then there's the other one. There you go. You just walk my way. How's the devil? Tell me how it's looking, babe. Just tell me how it's looking, babe. I do this all for you, baby. Just take aim. Tell me how it's looking, babe. Tell me how it's looking, babe. Looking, babe. Drop the bass, main, the bass get lower. Radio say speed it up, I just go slower. Highlight treble, puffin' on the mirrors. The man ain't ever seen the booty like this. And why you think you keep my name rolling off the tongue? Cause when you wanna smash, I just write another one. I sneezed on the beat and the beat got sick up.
I remember
the fact that he walked past that body.
I'm telling.
It's just
I remember playing OUT out with them red bouncy balls when I was a kid. Devilish
So you love him
behavior.
because he's a hero. Let me tell you something about heroes, princess. A hero would sacrifice you for the greater good. I have no such compunction. I would burn this world for you.
Oh yeah, I had fun with Halloween this year. I have fun with Halloween every year.
I see. You did it in for Halloween.
I did. I went hard. My daughter, she let me down. I was like, so what are we gonna be? She's like, a cheerleader. I said, a zombie cheerleader? She goes, no, a cheerleader. A spooky cheerleader? No, a cheerleader. I said, what about a vampire cheerleader? No, just a cheerleader. I was like, man. I was like, who are you? You are not my child.
That is funny. Well, I tell you what, it is time for celebrity news you can't use. And I tell you what, we'll get right into it right back after these commercials. All right. We'll be right back, y'all. All right. Don't go nowhere. Right back.
Hey folks, check out healthdaddywow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, healthdaddywow.net. Remember, healthdaddywow.net.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap sticks and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
No Panties After Dark. Your adult relationship conversation congregation. Going where most ones. Speaking on things most don't. It's No Panties After Dark. We put the relations back into relationships.
All right, folks. We are back. It is celebrity news you can't use. Sis, pretty brown skin, go ahead and give us a little something to hear on celebrity news we can't use.
All right, so I guess we can keep it kind of light tonight because there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the world, and I was like, I'm not gonna remember everything, but this one right here made me just. I don't know if you know who social media influence or Nikita Dragon is. She is transgender and she's had the bottom surgery, so she no longer has the penis, and she got girl parts. Anyways, she got drunk at a hotel in Miami, beat up a cop and some other stuff, drunk belligerent behavior, and she got arrested. And her driver's license still says that she's a man, so they put her in with the men.
Ooh.
I bet they was down there in Dade County wearing that look like coochie out.
Ooh, man, that is a tough one right there.
Right. I was like, woo.
Like
And
literally.
Yeah.
Like even when they put her in there, all the guys was like, "Oh, that's a tough one right there."
Right. I mean,
Don't worry, y'all will get that later.
I mean, coochie is coochie, and they in the jail.
But that one was a tough one.
And I'm sure I think it's fresh too.
That's
that was, yeah. That I know I'm going to hell for that, ain't I? So they gonna work her little clay coochie out. Drake and 21 Savage released a new album, and they drug Meg Thee Stallion and Serena Williams' husband in one of the songs. Oh no! Did you hear about that?
No.
He basically said that she lied about getting shot. He dropped some hard bars on that one. Anyways, what makes it even more funny is there's another song on the album where they sampled one of her songs and she gets the writer's credit on the album. So y'all dissed her and y'all gotta pay her.
Yeah, I mean, they set that up.
Yeah, they set that up. Okay, so this one right here, now this one, I don't know if this is funny or if it's sick, but we're gonna talk about it. You know who Kathy Griffin is, right?
I feel like I do, but remind me.
She's a comedian, and she ain't always funny. She's very controversial. CNN fired her from the New Year's Eve live show she used to do with Andy Cohen back in the day. Was it Andy Cohen or Anderson Cooper? But they fired her. Anyways, you know Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Yes.
And she was on the Twitter impersonating Elon Musk, and he got sick of her shit. So he banned her account. Blocked her.
Wow.
But wait a minute, it gets even better. Her mother, who is deceased, still had a Twitter account. Homegirl logged in her mother's account to get her tweets off.
Oh, wow.
I was like, that's pretty fucking sick.
I mean, it's messed up, but then I don't like the fact that your boy banned her, because it's kind of like, we're trying to fight against that. You know what I mean?
Right. And they over there letting the N-word with the hard R. They letting that roll off on Twitter. So I had initially went back to Twitter a little bit when we started back No Panties After Dark. I don't think I'm going to be hanging out over there. They're still over there talking about $200 dates anyway. And ain't nobody got time for that. It's kind of boring over there. In other news, I don't know if you voted yesterday or not, but
yes, ma'am.
The people down in Georgia, they didn't get it all right, and now there's going to be a runoff between Warnock and Walker. Or did you see that?
Oh, I heard about that. Somebody asked me about that today, but once Greenberg won and we got another Democrat again for a billion years here, then I didn't think about anything else.
Yeah, it was a damn shame Booker didn't win, but that's another conversation for the other day. So they gonna have a runoff down in Georgia, and right now Walker down there trying to figure out if he's the red or the blue.
Yeah, I do feel like they used him. I do feel like
they did. He was definitely a pawn.
Yeah.
And let's see, and last but not least, this is not news that you can't use. We just gonna keep Sister Brittany Griner lifted up in prayer. So they moved her, and we don't know where they moved her to, and her lawyers don't know where she's at. Joe Biden said that he's been in constant communication with Putin, and he thinks that now that the primaries are over, maybe they can have some serious discussions on what to do to get her home. So prayers up for her. I hate that she's basically being used as a pawn right now.
Yeah, a political pawn. Absolutely.
A political pawn, yeah. Because somebody else committed the same offense and got a fine in like 17 days in jail or something like that.
But was that in Russia?
In Russia, and they had more.
Yeah.
They had more oil than did, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Why are we calling Walker Uncle Ruckus?
I don't know. He's more Uncle Ruckus as he is Bubba Gump. You remember?
Yeah, I would say Bubba Gump more than Uncle Ruckus.
Yeah.
I think people say Uncle Ruckus just because he's Republican, and a lot of times us as a people, as a culture, we just automatically, class anybody who is like that as Uncle Ruckus or whatever.
I got called an Auntie Ruckus in the makeup group because I said that I purchased makeup from somebody that people deemed a racist, even though he apologized for the comments that he made 20 years ago. And they were like, "You bought makeup from him? You're an auntie."
You bought makeup from Papa John's?
I bought makeup from Jeffree Star, and that lipstick was incredible. Okay, and I'll do it again. I'll do it again. It's lipstick. I don't got nothing to do with what he said in 2004. I don't got nothing to do with that. He apologized for it. It was 2004. It's 2022. Let it the fuck go. So they called me an Auntie Ruckus.
Oh wow.
I know, right? It's what it is.
Auntie Ruckus.
I wore that lipstick all weekend too for Halloween.
Oh,
Both shades.
see? Okay.
What you got in your cup?
Oh man, I have several bags of tea. I recycle tea, so you know, I be holding on to my. I just keep adding another tea bag in every time I make tea.
You just
every
can't
night.
get enough tea, can you? I know. Everybody feels the same. Everybody feels like that. You're a big tea fan. I feel you.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I get it. Well, I tell you what, that is celebrity news you can't use. Does anybody feel like they can use it? Anybody? If you can use it, let us know. But I tell you what, celebrity news you can't use. We appreciate it, sis, bringing that to the floor front. And right now, we want to go ahead and bring up our guest this evening, who is awesome and amazing. I
love her.
Appreciate her. I don't know anybody who sees her and hears her speak who doesn't say that they love her. So without further ado, we want to go ahead and bring sis to the stage. None other than Laquisha Moore. I'm gonna let her say all the letters behind her name herself. I think it's LCPA. I think I could be right. I think I'm right. I'm probably wrong. Sis, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good,
how y'all doing?
Good.
Hey.
Fantastic.
Good.
So we appreciate you coming on tonight. Did I get that right? LCP?
I'm a LPCC.
LPCC. Ooh,
you gotta put some respect on your name.
That's a licensed professional clinical counselor. But you know what? I can explain the difference to y'all because a lot of people really don't know.
You started as a LPCA, right?
Yes.
Because A is for assistant.
You're
right?
an associate level. Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm over here talking.
Could you hear me?
Yeah. But does A stand for assistant?
Associate.
Yeah.
So
okay.
When you first come out of school, if you have go to counseling track, of course, if you go to social work, it's a little different. But when you first come out, you a LPCA, and that's a licensed professional counseling associate. And then you do that, you have to fulfill 4,000 hours of clinical work, and
that's a lot of hours.
Yep, that's 2 years worth of hours, and then you can apply to be a LPCC, which is fully licensed. So that means that in certain states, I think it's 14 states, it might have done changed now, but in about 14 states, people can practice at a master's level without a doctoral level person over them. And Kentucky is one of those states. So it makes you eligible to get your own Medicaid number and be able to build insurance like a doctor and stuff like that. So that's what changed.
So you can build insurance now?
Yes, you have to go through credentialing, which I have gone through it. I think I'm waiting on United Healthcare, maybe. That's the last one. But yeah, so that's what changes. I think I feel the need to explain that sometimes because I don't think people really pay attention to what's involved in becoming a counselor. It is a lot of, it's probably at least about 7 years of school on average, and then 2 more years of clinical work under a clinical supervisor before you can be fully licensed. So it takes about probably roughly around 9 to 10 years to get fully licensed.
Crazy. 9 to 10 years, and you can't even shoot people and put handcuffs on them.
Nope. No.
But a cop can do, what? I don't know how many, 6
I don't
months of
think they,
basic
I don't
training or
think
something
they
like
have
that.
to have a bachelor's degree to be a cop.
They don't have to have nothing. It's just 6 months of basic training
A
and
GED.
a need for adrenaline. That's it.
Right. Well,
Man. Well, I mean, tonight we wanted to bring forth a conversation because this is all about conversation, congregation, and it is keeping the spark, right?
mhm.
So we're talking relationships, keeping the spark, and I can say that that's definitely something. That's a conversation that I think we all need
Mhm.
because you get into a relationship, whether it's marriage, long-term relationship, what have you, you're headed towards marriage, all that good stuff. And sometimes things tend to fizzle out, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and it's kind of it's a thing. T, you kind of poised this conversation. What do you think when you talk about the idea of keeping the spark? What does that mean to you?
Keeping the spark. That's keeping the, when you first get with somebody and it's all warm and tingly and you're all in love and you can't get enough of each other. And then when after you get in for some time, that goes away. And then relationships are hard work. So we want to me, keeping the spark is keeping just a little bit of what you had in the beginning, keeping that alive throughout the duration of the relationship.
Mhm.
Mm, mm. So, as a counselor,
Mhm.
licensed clinical counselor, uh, Laquisha, do people, do you come across that in sessions and things of that nature? Is that a thing in sessions?
I mean, yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing, period. That's why a lot of people go to couples counseling, with licensed professionals, because sometimes you need like that unbiased party to like see what you both see, but be neutral about addressing like the issues.
Mm,
And so when you're in couples counseling, neither one of the people are really your client in the couples counseling. It's the relationship is the client, you know. So
mm-hmm.
that's when like the barriers are the different issues in the relationship become that's becomes your focus in couples counseling. I would say I see a lot of like keeping the spark when I think of keeping the spark, because we all adults, so we know like things ain't always gonna feel like they felt in the beginning, because in the beginning you just now getting to know each other,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get to know as much as you can. You excited to get to know that person, but I think over time, you get to see people's habits, you get to see people's families, you get to see how maybe they move as parents. So it's like certain things that might turn you off. Um, so when you told me about this topic, I thought about like when it comes to keeping the spark, like what puts the spark out, you know? That's really uh,
What blows out the candle?
what blows out the candle. And I would say a lot of it is unmet expectations, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um,
Ooh.
intimacy issues, whether that be emotional intimacy or um, physical intimacy, trust issues. Um, so, like, those are the things that came up. And then what I had, like, reciprocity, or people having a lack of commitment to keeping it going, because some people are, chase highs, so they feel good in the relationship, and then when the relationship doesn't feel good anymore, it's like I gotta go find that thing that I was feeling, at first, that's not there no more. So but ultimately I was thinking about friendship and trust being like the bottom line, because when you're friends with somebody, you can talk about what you want in the bedroom. You can talk about what you like. You trust that person to be able to really be yourself, you know. And I think sometimes the spark goes out when people don't present themselves in the beginning, so they present in like they
The
facade.
avatar.
Yeah.
The
And then
representative,
the
and you
real
can't
you
keep that
starts to
up.
show up. You can't hide the real you for too long. And
Right.
then now, you know, you dealing with maybe that person don't like certain parts of you or you them and acceptance issues. So
Wow. So I was looking at something here that talks about losing the spark, 7 simple ways to rekindle your relationship. Um, they go through reminiscing, focusing on communication, bringing back the romantic gestures, practicing gratitude, scheduling date nights, try new things together, kissing more often. Interesting, you know. You know, when you look at some of these things, you would think that these are things that one would do anyway, right? But why do you
No.
think people forget or
Life.
in a sense stop doing it? Go ahead, T. What
Life happens. Life happens. You have kids, you have work priorities, you have all this going on, and then you put your partner on the back burner. It's very easy for life to just get in the way.
yeah. Yeah, I think it can go both ways with men or women, depending on
absolutely.
what they got going on. And I think especially for women, because sometimes, you know, like I can't be your woman right now. I gotta be somebody's mama, somebody's worker. And like it's hard. I think balance is probably like a major issue. Work-life balance.
So work-life balance, you know, being a major issue. So I know in today's age, one of the bigger things is, and I can only, yeah, well, I'll say this when looking at women who are more, I guess, bosses in their workplace, and then come home not turning that off or something, you know, and maybe that playing a part. But, you know, I don't know, when I think about that, what are some of the ways that, you know, you got a couple sitting in front of you? What are some of the ways that you coach them to uh
I'll start with value system and love languages, you know, because
okay.
I feel like things that interfere with people's relationships a lot of times are value system issues. Like you value, like, you know, you might think this is what I think a mother's supposed to do, or this is what I think a woman. We can just take it out the kids and just this is what I think a woman should do, be blah 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 blah, you know. And I think when people start to see that everybody ain't raised the same, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes um that's what to me gets in the way. Like, so the value system of like we don't share what's important to me is not what's important to you, or vice versa. And also I focus on love languages because I feel like a lot of people love people the way they want to love them instead of loving them the way they want to be loved, you
That's
know.
important.
So like, you buy a gift for maybe one of your love languages gifts, but the gifts that you give your partner are gifts that you would want for yourself, not necessarily the gifts that they would want for them. You know what I mean? And then they seem
Yeah.
ungrateful when they not that appreciative of the gift because
Yeah.
it wasn't
I can
really
see that. Like, if a
mouth.
guy is bringing home some thongs and, you know, maybe he really wants to wear them, you know, he really likes those thongs versus.
Nah, that's some other issues going on there.
Yeah, it's probably a whole nother issue.
Weekly drinking game. Every time Joe makes me, everybody take a drink. Y'all gonna be drunk in the next
Look, I
30
ain't
minutes.
like that to drink this time, but I would say, but even bringing home thongs, right? If your partner, like, if you know that's something that your partner would like, I mean, some people would love like thongs, you know, you bring home, they're like, okay, but but sometimes I feel like if you're doing something just for you, for your benefit is what I'm more so referring to.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
you do things that I'm not buying this person what they want. I'm buying them what they need, or like there's no consideration, And I think that's
Mm.
where I won't say no consideration because buying somebody something period is nice.
And then, but then buying something that they need is definitely consideration as well. It means they paid attention, they were attentive, but versus buying something that they want,
yeah,
more than something that they
and
need.
that's
Like
just
I
a me
need.
to ask, gifts and stuff like that. I'm because there's 5 different love languages. There's words of affirmation, there's quality time, there's acts of service, there's physical touch, and then there's gifts. So like when I do couples counseling, a lot of times I have people identify their love languages, and usually there is a difference in how they want to be loved and stuff, and that usually is what the issue is.
Do you find that most people show love the way that they want to receive love instead of the way that their partner wants to receive love? So, like, let's say, like, my love language is acts of service. So that's because that's my love language. That's how I love my partner, and my partner, their love language is not acts of
Might
service.
be
So it's not
physical touch, yeah.
right. It's not coming across.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what I'm talking about. It's like people like loving somebody else the way they want to instead of the way that they would want to be loved, or the way they would want to be treated. And so,
I mean, but can you help that in a sense? Because, like, okay, like acts of service. Okay, if you're someone you like doing for the other person, you want to put a smile on their face. So you wanna cook for them. You wanna, you know, clean, whatever the case may be. That's acts of service. That's you love doing that for your significant other, and obviously they enjoying it because they reaping the benefits all day long of it, right? So I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is that wrong when you say
no,
that?
I don't think it's wrong because I think even, showing love in any way is a blessing, but I'm saying that sometimes if the way I want to be loved and the way you show love are different, then that becomes like an issue. If I have people, they may be with people and they complain like, well, he won't even, you know, get my nails done or do this or do that. And I'll be thinking, man, to me that's such a small thing to do to make somebody happy. You know, uh
Mhm.
25, 30, 25, 50, I guess wherever you go to get your nails done at, it could vary. But like doing something nice for somebody that they want, and I feel like a lot of times I even when outside of couples, even when I see women and sometimes men too, it's like people be begging for the bare minimum in relationships. It's like
I've been there.
once all the lovey-dovey part is gone and they done got used to each other, then like they don't do what they did to get them to keep them.
And
Mm.
especially like when you want to hold on to that relationship, like just give me the bare minimum, something to hold on to.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Um,
Mm.
I think that keeping the spark is it's a two player sport. It's two people have to be willing to do that. It's like got to be a commitment to keeping the spark. Like
I
what do
think
you
that.
need? What do you need from me?
So you mean like actually bucking up and opening your mouth and having that conversation
Yeah.
with your significant other? Say, hey, what can I do to, you know, make you feel better about us? I don't know.
Right. What can I do to, make you happy or make you
Better about us.
hmm
Mm. I feel like, I'm sitting here looking to find something that exemplifies, the ability to. I'm gonna show y'all this real quick, because this could be it. This could be the thing that, because a lot of people visual. This could be the thing that makes people say, oh yeah, I can do that in order to keep the spark alive.
Better sleep with one eye open tonight.
Is that it right there? Is that what's necessary?
I mean, it's gonna keep something alive. Maybe.
I mean, I guess
kill something.
If he, he breathe after he gets his solar plex hit.
Some people be into that kind of thing. I think Joe's into that kind of thing. Is that what you and your lady do? When you get bored, like, babe, I'm bored. Let's do something.
No, I have to try it though.
She gonna wear those thongs you brought home, right? See,
but I think
I'm not wearing them.
I definitely think sexual intimacy is like a big issue too. Like, I think.
So would you put that as at the top of the list of the issues when it comes to keeping spark alive? I think I would. I think I would put that.
I'm gonna put it up there. Like, I mean, I really honestly,
it's definitely in the top 3.
It feels so shallow to say,
It does.
It does. It's like, man, but
God put it there, so
But I do think it's so important, for many reasons. But I think it's important because a lot of times what is happening to what I see is a lot of times people have had other experiences, right? Because, we're not going into marriages or relationships just never having been with nobody else, right? So you going into a relationship and you've had these other sexual experiences or something, or maybe you want to have experiences that you never had, And I think when people ain't on the same page sexually, like, it does become an issue because that person is like, it's one of the things that causes the most dopamine to come to your brain, I think the only thing probably that does more than that is probably like a heroin or some crazy drug,
Right. And you see couples that want to introduce other people, third parties into the bedroom, thinking that's going to reignite that flame.
Yeah,
that
honestly,
does more damage.
That hasn't. I don't know too many people, even any really, that have had great success with that option. Because usually it ends up being some sneaky stuff going on afterwards. But
it was really fun.
Huh? He said, especially if it was really
fun. It was really fun, then somebody in there is trying to do it again, and somebody may not be trying to do it again. Now you like, and I think in most cases, if you do something like that, the guy is like, what's wrong, baby? We it was good. What happened? Like, you was having fun, what's the problem? I mean, I know it just happened earlier this morning, but I mean, here it is 8 hours later. I mean, ain't you ready to do it again?
But I mean, how do you, I think sex drive issues are definitely, some people want it a lot more than others. So, and sometimes it can be things that, that went on in their history that they don't view sex the same way the other person does.
So. Do you find that when you have couples come that bring forth these issues, let's say intimacy, do you end up doing individual counseling with a lot of people? Couples come in, but then you find like, okay, you know what, there's some.
Now, a lot of times it's the opposite. A lot of times I'm doing individual counseling, and that person's relationship is like an emotional distraction for them. And so that's when I'm like, well, maybe like, let's bring in this partner. Maybe I can kind of try to resolve some of the issues in counseling. So I don't usually have it the opposite way, where people become, which I've had, she was still an individual. I had an individual, and she came as, then they came together as a couple, and then I started seeing her husband too, so like that. But it was pretty good because, I'm good at maintaining like the confidentiality between that situation. So it was always like a good situation, and they did get better as a family, all the way around. But mostly it's individuals that end up bringing their partners in, because a lot of times, a lot of people come to therapy because of who they're with.
I could see that.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So I mean, and I definitely feel like that's, a lot of people come to therapy because of who they're with.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what puts a lot of people in therapy is because of who they're with. Because of whatever they were doing in life, they were floating along by themselves and, fine in whatever way they were. Not to say that they were healthy or what have you, but they were fine. And then they get with someone, and then now this begins to disrupt what they were normally doing and used to. And if you're not able to make concessions, right, adapt, and accommodate, not just for the sake of accommodating, but for the sake of saying, hey, I want this and I love this, therefore I'm making room for this. So I wonder if sometimes that being more of the problem is where you have a lot of people who maybe aren't, I don't want to say maybe aren't done with the life that they had before, or maybe just aren't as accommodating, and don't know how to be as accommodating with this new life.
Well, like actually considering somebody else and being, partner.
Well, I mean, just when you come together in a relationship, and especially I think more so probably when you move in together is where you really.
That's where you get to see who a person is.
Ooh,
yeah.
wee.
But that's where more of the tension is. I've heard it said before where when we were living in our own places, we weren't around each other all the time, so it was in a sense better. And because you get a chance to miss a person more, maybe.
I know a couple that was married for years. Actually, my ex, his parents, before his mother died, she lived in Indiana. She had her own apartment, and he had a house not that far from us over in Louisville. He paid bills at her house, put groceries in the fridge. She cooked dinner. They did whatever they did, and he went home. She got sick. He would get up in the morning, get her dressed, and get her ready for Talk 3 to pick her up and take her to dialysis. He'd come back over after work, get her settled, and then he'd go home. And it worked better. They could not live together. But they were happily married.
I don't think you got to live together to be happily, to be happy with somebody. But I think living apart takes a lot of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've known people to do things like I've seen people have their own bedroom in the home, individually. So and hey, some nights she sleeps over in my bedroom. Some nights I sleep in her bedroom. Some nights we fall out in our own bedroom. Interesting, but I've seen loving relationships where that works. I've seen situations where people even live in their own homes, because they were homeowners before the fact and didn't want to give up. And some nights she sleeps at his place, some nights he sleeps at hers, but they still have their own house to go back to. So I guess in a sense, it kind of boils down to what works for you. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How you able to live with somebody else, and even the space that you in, like, do we got enough space to live comfortably with each other without being on top of each other? Like, I do think people need their own respective spaces. You know how like a man have a man cave and the girl has her little spot, her little zen den or somewhere that she can go to, because I think you got to create you time in a relationship.
Definitely. Now I see, I'll say in my relationship, you know, like my lady, she has uh friends that she goes and kicks it with and chills with, and that's like her thing, you know. She'll go and on sometimes on certain days when she feels like it, she goes and hangs out with this friend, you know, this homegirl. And then on another day, when she feels like it, she may go hang out with another female friend of hers, and that's her time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's her doing her thing, getting away and enjoying, you know, her little time. And I, you know, I don't have no issues with that. I think that's
Why you
needed.
say little, Joe? You said little time. Why you say little time? No, I'm just playing. You know how they
Oh,
say
did I say
you
that?
like put little on her, they minimize. No, I'm just playing.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I just feel like that, you know, her being able to go and do her, you know, with her homegirls, is like that should be the case. Like there shouldn't
Mhm.
be no issues with that. Um, and I think that's, you know, because we do have a smaller space. But did you just show us something there?
No, my iPad fell. My iPad fell.
We know when you play the video back, you see where it fell because we all saw where it fell.
Oh, crap.
Oh Lord, Lord, Lord!
Yeah,
Anything can happen right here on.
it was a wardrobe malfunction.
Exactly. Justin Timberlake was nowhere to be found either.
Listen, Skull Vikings, okay? I want to show y'all my Vikings gear.
Right.
Yeah, all of it. Because you know Vikings back in the day, they went to go get that booty.
They
Let's
went
see
to
here.
war.
You know that's what they call riches and gold and stuff.
And you know what? Speaking of, why come? I know this is completely off topic, and it was shown to me. I posted it on my page. Some woman was hitting on this man. She was shooting her shot, and before she shot her shot, she said, "Do you mess with that light skinned girl with the big booty, Tiandria?"
What?
Why? I was like, that was some hate. That was shade. Why you gotta shade me, sis?
Is that
Wow.
shade?
I think it was. It was dripping in shade. You could have said any kind. It's all kinds of ways.
What
You
part
could
of
have
it
described
was what part of it did you feel like was a diss?
it was the light skinned big booty chick, because she could have said that really pretty girl, the girl that posts the funny memes, the girl who has the podcast. I felt like that was said with little hate.
No. Well, you know, when you see stuff, I don't know. I mean, light skin, big butt. Maybe it was just her not giving you. She objectified you real tough, though.
She did, didn't she?
She must like girls with big butts or something. I don't even know that I would have described a woman in that way.
I wouldn't.
I
have.
mean,
Girls with big
after
butts.
watching this video just now, this Halloween
I
video,
didn't post it on my regular page. I thought about it. I thought about it, and I was like, nah, I don't want my DMs.
What is it? What you have on your page?
this video we just watched of her Halloween tour.
My
As
Halloween
she
tour. I did over
exactly
2 costumes this year. Next year, I'm doing 7.
7 costumes.
I'm gonna do 7 next year. That's my goal.
Yeah, she, you know, we just watched this video right here.
Mm. What you putting it back up on? Okay, here we go.
Oh Lord.
You, baby, just take a tell me how's it looking, baby. Tell me how's it looking, baby.
You know,
Girl with the big bag.
Lower radio say speed it up, I just go slower. Highlight treble.
I mean, old girl wasn't wrong. I mean, she had to describe you some kind of way. And that,
the girl with the podcast, the girl that posts the funny
that was the
stuff.
first thing. She probably don't know nothing about your podcast.
You couldn't just say that back thing. You could say your name.
That's where she went.
She don't know nothing about your podcast. She just took out the POD and the C and the T, and that's
I
all
didn't
she
even post
knew.
it on my Facebook. That's on my TikTok.
That's hilarious.
See?
Did y'all post this show? Because I couldn't find it to post it.
That's what a lot of people
I
are
think
telling me,
we're
that they
having
can't find the show.
Some type of technical difficulties. You know, again, YouTube is definitely always the place because you know Facebook be hating so much.
Okay, so you
And
do have it going live on YouTube right now?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and I'll drop that on the page as well as being able to anybody can find us on there. But yeah, I don't understand. It's live. I'm looking at it right here, live
Yeah.
on our
And you know what?
page.
And I feel like StreamYard numbers are wrong with who I was watching our show, because the last show that we did, it said 10 people watched the show. I had over 30 DMs like that was a really good show. Like people were hitting
Yeah.
me up like
Well,
I enjoyed the show.
yeah, it's and it keeps an accumulation number versus the actual viewership. So it is a little bit skewed. But here I post that on Facebook, on the YouTube link, so people can, and then I'll share that as well.
Okay, so while you're doing that, this is my question. What do you say to couples who have experienced infidelity and trying to pull it back together and rebuild trust and reignite that flame? How do you overcome that?
Can you?
Can you overcome that?
I think people definitely do. You know, I don't know that I want that to be my story. Like I don't want the cheating to now we good after all of this like type of story. Like, you know, overcoming all this stuff that was unnecessary. You know what I mean?
Right. Because you
Like,
hear women say it made us stronger.
Yeah, when people say love's long suffering, I understand being long suffering and
A lot of long suffering.
In the way of you might get sick or things might happen in our lives that's unexpected or whatever. But I think if you're making choices that really impact another person's life, like why I gotta suffer? Like why I gotta suffer because you actively, consciously, you know, calculatedly, you know what I'm saying? Look, calculated.
Right. And it's all of those things.
Yeah.
And this is how I feel about it. I feel like once you have crossed that boundary, like not only did you have no regard for yourself, you had no regard for me. Like, did you use protection? Do you know if that person has diseases and you could have possibly brought that back and infected me? You could have created another life. Like I personally, I don't want that to be my story either. Like he cheated on me and now we're stronger than ever. I can't get past that. But you hear so many people, you know, saying, and so many men, they'll say, well, I did this, that, whatever. She earned it. I'm going to go ahead and marry her now because she put up with all my shit.
Right.
Why do I have to put up with you dogging me the fuck out?
Yeah, well, that's when they done fell apart. They down 45, 50 now. God.
But that's it. Yeah, that's crazy. Because think about, have y'all been watching that new South African it's like a reality show about wealthy.
I think I clicked on it because it was showing, I think was they in Nigeria, and it's like showing them kind of like upscale. It's kind of like a
like it's just
hip hop-ish type thing, but it's like in Africa, they dress in real fancy attire and stuff.
Yep. And okay, I see the video's blocked for some reason, but I'll clear that up. But yeah, it is. It's a South African thing, and it's I mean it's dope to kind of see. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There was a situation there where I'm sorry, y'all, because I got the show playing in my ear because I'm trying to fix whatever this blocking thing is. But there was a situation where one of the people on there, the couples, the husband had cheated, and you know, I guess it was like a big scandal because he's a famous South African singer or something like that. And it's just kind of like, you know, she took him back and her friends are looking at her sideways because of it. But it's that same story where, you know, she put up with all my shit, and, you know, and then they after 10 years, they did a renewal of their vows or whatever. You know, so I'm just, that type of stuff. I mean, is that toxic?
Very.
See, I don't know. I'm gonna tell y'all, even as like when I do couples counseling, I've never, and maybe if somebody's getting physically harmed, but I don't really tell people to leave people or anything like that. You know, like I ask them questions to help them come to their own conclusions in their mind about the way they feel about things. And I think cheating is just, I don't want to say all men cheat because they're just, you know, and all people cheat. I mean, like many people cheat, you know, and like men, the highest rate, of course, like I would say, I seen something that a dude was like 98% of men cheat. And I was like, I think that's about right, you know, and it's weird because infidelity is a deal breaker for so many of us. So like once they cheat, it's like that just goes down the way you feel emotionally, you know, whether you feel emotional safety with them, physical safety, intimate, all that stuff is impacted by that. But I think some women are, and even some men, like some people have the attitude that they not letting nobody take nothing from them. They don't care how many girls you cheat with, like they don't got him like I do. You know, it's kind of
like Tyra, Amina, and Peter.
Like I'm the queen, they the concubines. You know what I'm saying?
Remember that on Love and Hip Hop, Tyra, Amina, and Peter?
Oh yeah,
and Tyra felt like I was here first. I don't care that you married him.
Yeah, but I think more people are more polyamorous than they admit. You know what I mean? Because in this day and age, you know, a lot of people don't really have their person to themselves. You know, you think you do, but even like a lot of people, even women, like they may not be cheating physically, but they usually like got friends, old guys they have close relationships with. That's not maybe inappropriate conversations, but you know, just hanging on to like different stuff. So I don't know. I just see that it's a deal breaker for a lot of us, and then I also see that it's so common. It's like it's just like I don't know. It's you know.
It's almost like it's becoming a normalcy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
Or has it already become a normalcy?
I think
people are waking up trying not to do it anymore.
Right. I think it has been a normalcy for a long time. And I think social media just brings like more access, you know, people have more access to different people, you know, codes in different area codes is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think that it's hard because when you want a beautiful story, but then you gotta, you know, deal with people doing certain things. And so your question was, do I think it's toxic? I think that it's toxic for a person to be cheating and hurting another person, not really caring about their emotional or physical, you know, well-being. But do I think it's toxic for somebody to like forgive a person and stay with them and try to make it work and stuff? Not really. I think that how a person's being treated, you know, in that situation, like, because we look at the cheating and stuff as the treatment, but really when a person's choosing to cheat, like they choosing that for them, you getting hurt is just a byproduct of it. It's not like they did it to hurt you, you know what I mean? But it just hurts because it hurts, you know?
Right. And they didn't consider you when they were in the act of the cheating.
Yeah, I mean, I think trying to keep that other person out of their head is more the objective in the act of that anyway, right? Like you're not even you know, I would assume you not really trying to, you know, I mean, I can admit I've cheated in the past, and you know, you're thinking about self gratification. You know, you're thinking about I mean, dudes, I think most dudes are the same, that but in a lot of ways, I feel like, you know, somebody said something. I don't know if it was you or somebody else, but yeah, in a sense, I guess you're looking for something that you aren't getting at home. I mean, I think that's what it boils down to, right? Because I mean, you know,
not to the other person's ego to feel like that there's something that somebody else can give you that they can't, you know. I think that's what really gets hit is like the ego, you know, because like, what is that person doing for you, you know, that I can't do or didn't do or haven't done or whatever. And I think that when you actually have those conversations with a person, you really will find out like some things you may not have known, you know, about that person if they really get real about why they cheating and what's going on. Um, but I just think it's hard to come back from. And to be honest with you, every relationship, the relationships that mostly I've left was due to infidelity. Like I might have tried to work it out, but then something else. And that's why I say I'd be like, man, I don't know about second chances, because every time I've ever given somebody a second chance, like it was like it's almost like you just sign up for more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there are people who overcome like those challenges in their relationship and maybe find a way to get on the same page, you know.
Yeah, I can't overcome it. Like once that's my deal breaker. I know me, I'm not going to let that go. There's
Mm-hmm.
no point in even trying. I'm not going to be able to let it go. Like at that point, let's just go ahead and cut ties and walk away, because you're going to have to put in a lot of work in order to get me to let that go. And unless you're willing to put in that work and get me feeling secure again, it's never going to work. So let's just go ahead and just be out.
Yeah, and I think, and when you think about keeping the spark alive, are things, you know, that put the spark out. I think insecurities kill. You know, if a person can't bounce back from that, then the insecurities will eat the relationship up anyway. Because a man, even if he's like sorry, apologetic, or a woman is sorry, apologetic, I'll never do it again, don't know why I did it in the first place type of thing. If that person is really trying to do the right thing by you and you can't let go because you're stuck, you know, because sometimes people really do change, but we're stuck where they traumatized us at, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are still stuck in like, oh, you did this or you will do this, or I know what you're capable of now. So it's hard to get past that to like move on. And I think about it in the way, you know, people say we get new mercies every day. And it's funny, I was like, you know, why is it so hard for us to give each other new mercies? Like to forgive, you know, like immediately and like be like, okay, I don't know what you was on, but let's get back to what we was on, you know?
Right.
I think it's hard for people to do that. And I'm not going to, like, when it comes to, like, if I was married, I think I would be more willing to try to work out something than if I was just dating somebody. Because to me now I'm signing up to be married to that,
Mm-hmm.
like to more of that,
Mm.
you know, versus like we being married and maybe we've been together 10 years and you started working with somebody and you like them or something, and y'all being human because y'all in the same space 8 hours a day and y'all start liking each other. Something that's more understandable to me than like somebody just going out.
I can't even imagine somebody breaking it down like that, because you know you've just put together an analysis like, okay, well, y'all in the same room with each other 8 hours a day, y'all work together, but I
But you
mean,
know,
does it matter if it's 10?
somebody like I understand people being human is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, no,
Yeah.
am I accepting of it? Of course, I'm whole tornado about that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, it's understandable. Everything understandable ain't acceptable. But I do understand how people get close and maybe like each other or different stuff like that. Like stuff can happen, and I think that anybody, like when it comes to temptation, like if you're not, you know, you're dealing with a lot of men or people out here that I won't even say men because I feel like I'm beating up on men when I say men, and really I think it goes both ways in a lot of ways. But you're dealing with a lot of people who are spiritually immature. So for me, for a man to become faithful, like he only gonna sleep with you for the rest of his life. Only you is the only person he gonna sleep with for the rest of his life, and maybe he's in his 30s or whatever, or his early 40s, whatever. It means he got like 20 good years, you know what I mean? That you think like that there's not a possibility ever that he would want something different, not because he don't love you, but because it's different. You know, I mean, I feel like for a man to really walk that walk, he has to be very spiritually mature.
I definitely agree with that. Um, I definitely agree with that because I think you're looking at something. Brother John Yah, he'll say men are, conquerors. They are they're hunter gatherers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they go get
Mm-hmm.
and it's there's a natural innateness uh in a man to go get. So even when you talk about healing a community, when we had that conversation before on another show, then it's like, okay, if women would change this, then men being as natural as they are is going after if you change the bait, then
you train the mate.
exactly. There you go. In a sense. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's almost like saying, in a sense, men will be men.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not to say to accept cheating or anything like that, but I guess in a sense, it's like if there's nothing to go after anymore, then for a man that could be kind of, fizzled out. There has to be, I guess, in any relationship, there has to be more than you got to have some different variables going on here.
Why do men stop going after it? Like, why do men date women and then, or, are they good morning, beautiful, all this stuff, right? And then after you start dating them, like, it's like,
I think
no
T
more.
said it earlier that the relationship, or both of y'all have said it at one point in this show, but it's a two-person deal there. So everybody has to be intentional with
Exactly.
what they're doing. You got to sit back and think. Like I feel like you always should be looking at the other person and saying to yourself, in your own mind, is there anything? Am I doing? I mean, I don't know, because then that sounds kind of weird when I say that.
You
That
think
you're
so?
always looking at another person to say, am I doing enough, or just check yourself.
Oh, that's a check-in. That's an
Yeah.
evaluation. That's checking in. Like, are you getting what you need from me? Is there anything I can do to make your life better, make you happier? Like, that's a check-in. I think a lot of times the check-in don't happen. I think a lot of times people just start feeling a way about something and they let that get to them and they make
And nobody communicates.
and they
Right.
make
Communication is key.
and they make choices about like women, even if you're dealing with a woman and she's insecure or whatever, and she gets a thought in her head, right? And she thinks something's going on. Y'all pick my polish off early, don't judge me. If she gets a thought in her head and she's like, oh, this is happening. Well, if you don't do nothing to like ease that or try to, like some people like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm not dealing with that, then whatever that might be in that person's mind becomes real because they're disregarded in it or whatever. And so, but I think that's why I say insecurities kill a lot of sparks, because it's.
I wonder how much is it when, if we're, like goals in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in a way sometimes that could be killing the spark. If we're not sitting down creating more goals, or creating goals, working towards those goals, achieving those goals, and then creating other goals to work towards and then achieve, like that's building. I mean, just the motion of it is like steps going up.
Right, but you gotta have two like-minded individuals. So if you're very focused on building and having goals, and then this person is over here and they're like, well, I think we're good where we're at. I want to just sit and play video games and be on Facebook all day. That's never gonna work. You gotta be like-minded.
Mm-hmm. Or even if you ain't like-minded, you got to be accepting of each other's differences, you know, because some people are vastly different, you know. They might be more of a creative. You might be more of like a straight line person who does this or that, you know. But I think if y'all can use y'all strengths, you know, to help each other in different areas, it's nothing wrong with that. But like-minded, when you say like-minded, even growing up, of course, we always heard equally yoked. Like, to me, all of that boils down to like value systems, what you care about versus what I care about, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, equally yoked in this day and age, I don't think it has the same connotation as it, you know, had before. You know, because I mean, I feel like more people are looking at religion as somewhat of an indoctrination, because there's a lot that was put on the table but never really explained when it comes to religion and the church. You know what I mean? Simply because, you know, there was a lot of conversation that isn't had in the church, especially when it comes to real life stuff like relationships, you know, because equally yoked now, you know, I mean, I like my eggs sunny side up. That's me. But
we just want to be in alignment.
I think
in alignment
always have meant being in alignment with each other. You know,
exactly.
Sharing the same value system.
But Joe's over here trying to scramble the yolks, you know.
Because a lot of times I think we get the believer versus the unbeliever thing. You know, is like where a lot of times they're equally yoked. But I think equally yoked means like two people who actually share the same value system and can mesh together, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Be in alignment with each other. So that means that if I'm over here and I'm, you know, like, I love business, I love to create new stuff. You know, I love the idea of putting a business together, taking it from my brain and then bringing it into this dimension, into real life. Then she doesn't have to be that same way, but don't dampen what I am and how I am when it comes to that. But like you said, let's look at strengths and, okay, where can you fit in at in the midst of this? That's still alignment. You know, she may be the researcher, you know, that finds this and finds that, and I may be the executor when it comes to that. But I think that working towards goals together, I think that is one thing that can definitely help keep a spark alive. And it's not all about, you know, sex. Here's a comment here from Esoteric Podcast with John Yah. He says, they say over 80% of married men sexually cheat on their wives at least once. The main reason, they say, the sex at home is boring.
Well, there you have it, people. You have to be a porn star to keep the
swing from the chandelier.
You are what you say you are. A super porn star. Have no fear. So I mean, and I don't think it's that. I think, see, I think there's a whole lot that goes into that, because when you really think about it,
this is where we get into the No Panties After Dark.
For real, you know, slide it to the left. So, you know, and that's what's happening. People aren't sliding to the left anymore. You know, there's no more, you know, I mean, hell, when's the last time, you know, you knocked over the trunk, you know, I mean, a car, stop playing, fellas. You know what I mean? You got to just spontaneously just push her in the trunk when she's looking in there one day, you know.
But do you think that spontaneity is like a big deal for a lot of people, especially, you know, sexual spontaneity is important. I think some people have, and I guess my views on sex, I'm definitely even getting more comfortable even talking about sex, like as far as even professionally and all of that, because I think that sex is a lot more important and has a lot more, you know, implications than we give it credit for. But I do think keeping the spark alive. Yes, I think keeping the spark alive in bed is important. I see it. question.
But you know what? Conversations that I have with my girlfriends, and I don't know if you can relate, but we are finding as we are getting older, like I think it happened for me like around the time I hit like about 33, 34. As we are getting older, we're definitely enjoying sex more and we want it more. So like you turn 33, 34, and then you turn into a horny teenage boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if that's necessarily should be a problem. Because like the older you get, for women, the older we get, the hornier we're getting. We're wanting it more. We're doing more things. These are the conversations I'm having with my girlfriend.
Right. I don't even think it's really like because I think sex drive, like women do get their sex drive in their 30s or whatever, they get more a higher sex drive. But I want to say that's scientifically supported. But I think what a bigger issue about where sexual intimacy becomes an issue in relationships is like people's boundaries in the bedroom, like what they will and won't do in the bedroom becomes more of the issue than it is like that they don't want to do nothing. It's just that they may not want to do the things their partners want to do.
Yeah, you're right. You remember, do y'all remember that movie way back in the day, Strictly Business? When they were the bedroom scene and she's like, to the left, I said to the left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but I do think that people don't tell people enough like what they want in the bedroom, because sometimes like even with women, I don't know what conversation you have with your friends, but a lot of times my friends, it's like they don't want to hurt a man's feelings by like telling him that he's, some of these dudes really, 40 years
like
old.
I want to know
what they doing.
I want to know every bit of everything. Look, if am I not, I want to know everything, like,
But that's
what I mean?
part of the friendship piece of dealing with somebody and being able to have those conversations, But I'm saying a lot of people don't know how to have those conversations. And so they
the conversations I have with my girlfriends, we all believe like we need to let you know so that you're not out here disappointing other people.
Yeah.
We need to let you know.
It's just hard to tell a man like you don't really know what you're doing right there. Like
I had a guy call me and was like, I was hoping that you could come over so I could have you for breakfast. And I told him I needed to clean my house.
Because he's not.
It was terrible. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I gotta deep clean my house.
Cleaning the house is important.
It doesn't get more. I think he got the message.
Nah, but I do think that it's just, man, am I on here as a professional? What am I on here as tonight? Not.
I don't know. You just put Laquisha Moore in there.
That's right. They got a levitate shirt. Don't matter. Anyway,
it's no panties after dark.
No, but what I'll say is, I know even for me personally, I've definitely come into myself sexually as I've gotten older. Like I know what I want. I know what I require.
And that's a good one. Should women come into themselves more?
Yes, without shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times what women don't choose or don't want to do in the bedroom is tied to the negative beliefs that we have tied to certain acts, or like, it's certain things that we've been taught or grown up, because I want to take marriage out the picture, because sometimes people think, oh, well, if you ain't married, you shouldn't be having sex anyway. But there's a lot of people having sex that ain't married. I think that women have to come into themselves in that, because a lot of women.
Well, I don't
mean to go back to my profession all the time as far as the sexual trauma stuff, but a lot of women have been tampered with. We know that the numbers are high, right? So you're gonna have women that have a lot of sexual aversions in the bedroom based on things that they have been through. And then you have men sometimes that have sexual aversions based on things they've either been through, or even sometimes the type of women that they've been raised by or grown up with, where they feel like when they meet a woman, like, I ain't ready to do this to her, I do that to her, or, like, it's like, because their attitude toward women is, tempered with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I think that's good. Women, like you said, women, should come into themselves, because men, are more prone to come into themselves a lot, whereas women aren't. So, men masturbate more, women don't. So yeah, women,
Well,
y'all
men
should,
get a chance to
masturbate
they
and
get a
come into
chance to
themselves.
learn themselves. They get a chance to learn themselves in a way that I think women don't really get to do until they really start changing maybe they views on things or start feeling like they want to learn more. But I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of women just have a lot of shame tied to sex.
Yeah, and there's religion, and then like you said, there's things that have gone on
Yes.
in life. It's so. I just who let's see, where was that at? Oh, there was just this story. I think T sent it to me of a young lady who. I mean, there's so much out here. Young lady was raped. Her boyfriend told her not to go to this club. She went to the club and she ended up getting raped or whatever. And then now she's looking for solace in him, and he's like, I told you not to go to the club. Peace. Broke
Right.
up with her.
And that's kind of sad because really
She snuck out is what it was. Well, not snuck out, but she lied to him and ended up going out anyway.
Right. Well, first of all, he's her boyfriend, not her husband, for one. No, I'm just playing. Look, that's when you pull that.
I mean, true. They was only 7 months in, so
But the thing, they was how
7 months in.
Oh, 7 months
relationship.
Yeah. Furthermore, though, even her deciding to go out to have fun because she just want to go out, like somebody committing a crime against her and violating her.
Terrible.
You know what I mean? Should not make him be like, oh, I told her not to go out. It's like if you tell your child, not to go do something and they fall.
Well, to be specific, he told her it was in whatever opinions, we'll just say his opinion, it was a sleazy club is what it was said. It was a sleazy club, and he didn't want her to go. She probably could have picked another club that wasn't a sleazy club, but he was like, nah, that club's sleazy. Don't go to that club. If you go there, then nah, it's not cool. I'm gonna break up with you if you go out to that club. She said no, I'm not gonna go to that club. Saturday comes, he ain't hear from her. She ends up calling him at 4:00 in the morning because of what happened. He breaks up with her, sees her later, and she was beat up and bruised. So obviously it was probably true that she really did get raped or whatever. She left the party that she left the club that she was at with a guy and his friends to go to another party. And that's what happened as she left with those guys who obviously she must not have known, but that she met at the club. She ended up getting raped by these guys that I guess ran a train on her or something.
Well, she got gang raped.
I mean, I'm assuming so, yeah, because it was the guy and his friends, and she got raped. So I'm throwing that part out there. I'm assuming it was a gang rape, but nonetheless, I mean, that definitely kills the spark in a relationship for everybody.
A lot of stuff because they both got a lot to work through if they gonna stay together with that. But I think that I don't think a man should leave a girl alone because she goes to a party but I think the part of the story that gets a little confusing for me is her leaving with the guys.
Exactly, because at that point, and it was said by comments as well as him that she probably was going to cheat on me anyway because she left the club with whoever this guy and his friends were.
There were lots of issues and cracks in their foundation before that incident ever happened.
Of course.
Lots.
And in 7 months of a relationship is kind of hard to really.
It was already flimsy. Yeah,
ask anybody.
It's a new relationship, but I mean, I don't know if it's 7 months in, I'm ready to be letting no dude tell me if I can go to the club or not.
Exactly.
True. So I think that's still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, and I agree.
I mean, and I think that kills the spark too, kind of though. A lot of men feel like women don't listen to them. That maybe him telling her not to go was for her protection and stuff like that. And you know, maybe him feeling like she didn't care to honor that, like, and ended up in a situation. He's probably like, man, I told you this is the type of place.
I mean, it was, and remember, she lied. She said she wasn't going to, and then she just decided if nothing, if she didn't get raped and the night went well, then he would never have known. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, as kind of, I don't want to say karma, but I would say as the universe does, then you know she was doing something in the dark and it came to light. You know, and ultimately,
as it always does.
Yeah, exactly, and something
Well,
happened. And
yeah.
like you said, he said it was a sleazy club. So in his mind, he was like, dude, you shouldn't be going there. I wouldn't go there. So I don't want you going there, you know? And so, but yeah, again, that's a touchy topic. Was that on the Shade Room page?
I don't remember because I wasn't the one who.
I think I seen it on your page, T, but I don't.
Did I post that?
Yeah, you posted
like some. I think it was one of y'all that posted, but
no, hold on, no, that was Blair Smith.
Oh, okay,
our mutual friend Blair Smith. Yeah, and but going back, I want to look at this comment again real quick. Should keeping the spark alive in bed be important? And with that in mind, I going back to what I was saying earlier, when you have more things going on in the relationship, like if y'all are building towards something, creating goals, whatever it is, here's a financial goal. All right, we're going to work towards that goal. Or here's a business goal. We want to bring forth these products, you know, whatever that is. If you're in alignment with each other, working towards that goal and you accomplish the goal, you know, now you create more goal. I think when you have more going on that you both are in the relationship, involved in, working towards, that helps to keep the spark alive, because you know ultimately there's some enjoyment in accomplishing, you know, goals and you know, creating and building, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. If the goal or whatever y'all are working on is a mutual interest too. But if your business is a certain business, and just because I have a strength in that area, you know, you want me to work.
Yeah, if it's one person's
whatever
versus the other, I definitely get that.
Yeah, but I think working toward a common goal definitely keeps people, you know, engaged with each other, you know, and especially if they actually meeting their milestones that they setting, like, you know, and knowing they doing it together is gonna strengthen the relationship.
Absolutely, especially if it's financial, and you know, now y'all got money in the bank and you can go do more things together.
Spark relationship for sure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When one person goes broke, you know, one person feels like they having to carry the load and it's getting heavy, you know, and they feel like the other person ain't doing enough to make sure things happen, you know.
That's stressful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what that is. That's stress. You know, now you got, you know, for dude is sitting there cooking, cleaning, and making money, and you know, it gets to be stressful, and now he's turning around saying, be my piece, please. But then she's like, oh no, you know, you can't be saying be my piece. What, you cheating? You know, and that's just a joke on what we was just looking at a second ago, earlier in the show, about the dude crying about
I just feel like men
be my
that say
piece.
that, only fuck boys say be my piece.
Why?
A real man's gonna come and it's gonna be understood that I'm gonna be your piece and you're gonna be mine. If you gotta tell me to be your piece, that means you about to bring me chaos and disruption.
Well, no, sometimes men have just dealt with women who are not peaceful. You know what I'm saying?
And that was my other side to that video as well. When we talked about
some
it,
women ain't peaceful. Like they just got an issue with everything. They, you know, they man bullies. You know, I've been a man bully before. You know, where I feel like
confession time.
Wanted to control the direction of the relationship, the what am I trying to say? Like how fast it moves, you know, like the trajectory of it, everything, like just wanting to be in control of how it goes, because I think that when I'm in control, things go smoothly. So
Okay.
I'm making the decisions. But when you really see that a lot of times, and that's why when we was talking about, something came to my mind earlier when we was talking about keeping the spark, and I was like, what if people really did love without fear? What if I didn't think about what you were doing outside of me? What if I didn't think about, you know, where this is gonna go, if we're gonna be together, be married, whatever. Like, what if I just chose to love a person because I want to love them, and I ain't think about none of that? You know what I mean? Like that. Some of that will be very unconditional, but then of course you got risk.
Yeah, big ones.
Mm-hmm. But I think trying to control, like all of us trying to control, like what happens next, what's going on, like it gets a bit much, and I think it creates conflict.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
ambiguity, somebody not like letting you know what their intentions are, definitely can kill it too, because who wants to follow somebody blindly and they don't know where they're going?
Yeah, that's the big one. And I've been there.
That's where trust comes in that too, though. You trust that person,
Man, it's I mean, these are like just all these variables. I feel like if you're walking down through life and then there's variable here, you're supposed to hold on to all of these, but then your hands start getting full with all these variables. Sometimes that sounds like it could just be too much in a sense. Let's take a look at this real quick, and then we'll close out in a little bit. But top 3 signs that your relationship is about to end. We're not gonna go through this whole 9-minute video, but we'll jump into a couple of these.
The top 3 signs that your relationship is about to end and how to save it. Number 1, your partner says that they love you, but they are not in love with you anymore. You can't convince your partner to be in love with you, even if they want to. Number 2, you are not having sex. The sexual relationship has gone out the window. You've become roommates instead of soulmates. And number 3, your partner is spending more time with others than they are with you, or there have already been emotional or physical affairs. If any of this is happening in your relationship, you need to take drastic action before your partner leaves for good and never comes back. The truth is that you cannot convince your partner to be in love with you. You cannot convince your partner to be attracted to you, and you cannot convince your partner to forget the past. But you can trigger love, you can trigger attraction, and you can trigger a desire to forget the past in your partner, even if they're not currently a willing participant. It's
so
you know what? I think we were talking about this earlier when we were talking about begging for the bare minimum. And I think when you get in those situations, that's where you just grasping at straws, like, I can't let this go. I want to work. Just give me something. I'm not getting any younger. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me is when he said you can like forget or forgive somebody or forget something even if that person's not a willing participant. So basically, like how you treat a person, you can treat a person based on how you want to treat them and not off of what you feel their behaviors are. Whether they're behaving good or bad. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times when you look at past like older people that have been together for a long time, a lot of that is, it's a lot of forgiveness in those relationships. It has to be, because some of these people grew up together and they made a lot of mistakes with each other, through their own traumas and through their own like choices and drama, but they still stayed together. So that's the thing is like, I don't really want to go through all of that. I feel like I done went through all of that enough for other people. I'm old enough to know, like, okay, this is what I want. do you want the same thing? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
But you see that people do, and I think that is based off of, you know, a unconditional, a place that you come to a peace in your own mind. Like, some people look at each other like, I'm not going anywhere, so I'm gonna forgive you over and over again because I ain't going nowhere, you know. And what can make you go? What can make you leave a person that you really want to be with? For some people, nothing. Like, literally nothing. I've watched it. I'm like, for real?
You know, and I think about my grandparents. They made it 49 years, and it wasn't until his funeral. So she passed away before him. They made it 49 years until she passed away, and it wasn't until his funeral that we learned his deep dark secret, and she kept it for him for years. He has stepped out on her with the woman down the street and created a whole other family.
Oh, well, it was pretty common.
Wow.
Right, and we didn't know.
Yeah, that was back before the cell phones and whatnot. That was back when we still was.
No, she knew. She knew. He was very prominent in the Black church community. So he's a pillar in the community. He's very well respected. And they were a very well respected couple. And she kept that secret from him. She knew the whole time. That woman came to the house. From what I understand, my cousins and I, we were sitting around putting these conversations together, stuff we overheard. We were sitting around listening when we weren't supposed to be listening. That woman came to the house and said, I have something that belongs to your husband. And my grandmother told her, don't you come back here ever again. So she knew the whole time that he had created that other family. And she kept that secret for him so he can maintain his reputation.
Well,
which maintains
love
their standard of living.
Right.
But I think, too, when you marry, you know, your husband looking bad is you looking bad. You know?
Right. And that was back when divorce was you know, I won't say it was unheard of, but they just didn't do that.
Like, I respect women that don't talk bad about their husbands and stuff. Like, when I heard girls like constantly downing their boyfriends, I'm like, okay, it's a boyfriend. But when I heard people talk bad about their husband, I feel like that's like a reflection of you. You know what I'm saying? This is who you chose for the rest of your life. So, like, and not because that's their husband, but because this is who you're staying with, but you're giving everybody else the worst view of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's for boyfriends also, because think about it, your girlfriend
or
like,
ex-boyfriends, especially.
Blah, 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 blah to me. And then, yeah, he ain't shit. And then you turn around and you stay with him. Now your friends are looking at you like, it's dumb hoe.
Or when you talk about that,
like they're not forgiving him, and now it's weird when it's weird energy when y'all
right. You got to keep that in house.
Or an ex, you know, especially if it's a ex child's mother or father, then it's like, yo, you talking shit about them when you chose them.
Right. We just had that conversation
you
last
with
week.
them,
remember?
like. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, interesting stuff. And I think, you know, if you could give people three definite things to do right now to focus on rekindling that spark or recharging that spark, what would it be?
I would say really looking at your love language, what you need from a person, like having those conversations about what you need, not trying to beat around the bush on that. I think definitely, you know, intimacy, physical or emotional intimacy, and then also emotional security, like trust and friendship, you know. Those to me are the things that I feel like people should focus on. I think a lot of times people get caught up focusing on each other's like flaws instead of dwelling on each other's strengths, you know?
Yeah.
And then if you look at love languages and you look at value system and whether or not you emotionally and, you know, safe and all of that, if you evaluate that together and you see that we don't really link up, like we don't match up in these areas, you know, then I think we need to be more careful with our time that we spend with people, that ain't, matching up. Like, because that's a lot.
Oh.
Time's important, wasting time with
Yeah.
people and y'all don't really, and it's just lackluster. But I don't think every relationship is gonna have like a constant spark, and that's why friendship is important to me. Because even when if we ain't vibing as lovers, I still want you to be my friend, and not and honor me in friendship.
Yeah. And that's why it needs to be more things outside of the love making, going on. So
But
absolutely.
No. It is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we talked about, women coming into themselves, so as you heard it here on No Panties After Dark Show, ladies, y'all probably should masturbate too. Come into yourself. But with that being said, folks, it is another episode of No Panties After Dark. We're going to go ahead and close it on out. It's been a nice little 2-hour running show. Miss Laquisha Moore, please, how can people get in contact with you? Because
they can't. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm on Facebook, L Denise Moore, and then on Instagram at Proverbial Heart. That's pretty much it on my social media for real.
I mean, if somebody wants a session with you, then is that how they?
Like my phone number, they just have to call me or email me. My email is Laquisha LAQUISHA.Moore@gmail.com, or they can also reach me at Levitate Counseling at gmail.com, and then my phone number is 502-315-9969. Okay,
will you please make sure you maybe after the show go put that in the comments on the page. You said LAQUISHA.MOORE@gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay, here I'm gonna post that right now. So
I definitely, there it is. Yeah, you got it right there.
Yep. So y'all, you want to get in contact with her, then please do. She, some of y'all are just, really nutsoid, and you need somebody to talk to. But some of you, and so call her, because some of y'all. But no, I'm just playing. Some if you want someone to walk you through some good steps in life, your everyday, then she's definitely somebody good to talk to. So with that being said, appreciate you, sis. Pretty brown skin, appreciate you, sis. And again, No Panties After Dark. We'll see y'all next week.
All right.
I'll see y'all later.
No Panties After Dark. Your adult relationship conversation congregation. Going where most ones. Speaking on things most don't. It's No Panties After Dark. We put the relations back into relationships.